I definitely ordered one as well.
Dragon SpaceX nominal turn jettison.
Copy that, SpaceX. We show the same and felt the same.
All right, good news there. We just heard that the trunk has been jettisoned or separated, which is great news. Like we were saying before, we had to basically unconnect with the trunk in order to expose the heat shield, which is the most important thing when it comes to re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. And we're doing that trunk separation now so that the trunk and the capsule don't return together in the same trajectory. So good news there that the trunk is now jettisoned. And that deorbit burn is in progress. It's about a 7-minute burn. Once again, this helps to put the Dragon capsule into the correct trajectory for its landing. This deorbit burn is the last time that we use those 4 forward Draco thrusters for this mission.
Yeah, and again, Dragon has not entered Earth's atmosphere just yet. This deorbit burn is what lines the vehicle up and puts it on its final trajectory to the landing site near Dry Tortugas off the Florida Keys. Now, right now, the crew are using their screens to keep tabs on the burn duration, Draco thruster firings, and trajectory details like entry angle, capsule perigee, velocity, and how much time remains until the deorbit burn termination. And that's because they want to monitor this because they are going to hear a lot of different sounds with the burns going on. So Dragon is currently flying free itself, and so all the crew has to do is stay strapped into their seats and keep an eye on things. And there you can see the screen and some cool new stickers there.
Great Scott.
I love that.
I love to see how they add their own personality, like just right there in the middle. That 1.21 gigawatts, obviously referring to Back to the Future. It is worth noting that that Jared has actually flown in this capsule in the commander's seat once before, as he was the commander of the Inspiration 4 mission. Just a quick note here, these are those Draco thrusters at the forward bulkhead, as well as the Skywalker mobility aid that we saw tested out during the extravehicular activity, or EVA. It seems almost sad and heartbreaking to not see, a person hanging out there. Those views were just so incredible that seeing an empty forward hatch just...
We'll come back.
Yeah.
We'll come back. We'll do it again. But what an incredible spacewalk we had earlier this week, and just some cool views that we had there from the nose cone looking back down on Earth. And again, as we mentioned, the crew is using their displays just to monitor. Dragon is fully autonomous, so it's doing all these maneuvers on its own, and the crew's just watching, monitoring, making sure they know when the burn is going and when it's going to conclude and how much time is left. And we do just have a few more minutes. Again, this deorbit burn, they're currently in the deorbit burn, and this burn should last just about 7 minutes, and we're about halfway through at this point.
I love this view here. So just for a little bit of frame of reference, on the left side of the screen is Commander Jared Isaacman, and the right-hand side of the screen is pilot Scott Poteet, although he prefers to go by his call sign Kid. And I think that this is such a great view because it really gives you an idea of what they are looking at, in addition to the tablets that they have strapped onto their legs. You can see the procedures that they are following along with, as well as the display that illustrates which Dracos are firing at what point. Now, this deorbit burn is still underway. I'm going to pull up the map real quick, but it looks like that might be Australia. Yeah, according to our Dragon tracker, that is the west coast of Australia.
It's so cool almost to see the difference. If you watched, earlier this week, they made it over 1,400 kilometers away from Earth. They got a nice round view of the globe. And now you can see that they're much closer to Earth with just a very small slice of Earth that they could see in that view.
We can see the straps still floating. Now, if you're curious as to where Dragon is, you can, of course, follow Dragon yourself. We have it on our website, spacex.com/follow-dragon, and it shows you exactly where Dragon is along its path. Oh, and there's both.
And you can see how fast they will move as they will be splashing down off the coast of Florida. And they're just passing by Australia right now. We do expect splashdown to happen in about 30 minutes or so. Now, that's a nice way to travel really fast. I would like to take one of these next time I go on an international flight.
Definitely.
And just such great clear views. This is a nice treat for us to be able to see this. And we do have just about a minute remaining in this burn. Again, this will be the last burn for these Draco thrusters at the forward bulkhead. And once this is complete, then we can close the nose cone. We do close the nose cone in preparation for re-entry. And that helps allow us to reuse the capsule. It makes reusable a lot easier when you can open and close the nose cone. Previous Dragon designs, we did jettison the nose cone. Now we keep it attached, so in preparation for entry, we do close and lock that nose cone.
For those that have just recently tuned in, we have successfully separated the trunk from the Dragon capsule. And these are just such amazing views.
Dragon SpaceX, deorbit burn complete. Performance nominal. Nose cone closure initiated.
We show the same and tracking.
Confirmation there that we had a successful and nominal deorbit burn. So we're now going to see the nose cone begin its closing process. It takes a couple minutes for this to fully complete as I think we can see some shadows moving here, which means that we're about to lose this gorgeous view.
This is an incredible view. And as we mentioned earlier, the vehicle is doing a slew, so it is maneuvering to orient that heat shield a little bit more towards the Earth. And that helps prepare us for reentry.
Yeah. And we can see that nose cone coming into view now there in the top left corner. Once it is all the way down, there will be some hooks that lock in to make sure that it is locked up, as Jesse had said earlier. Once again, we will not be using the forward bulkhead Draco thrusters anymore.
Honestly, this view is just so cool to see everything that's happening. You still see Earth, you've got Dragon maneuvering, you've got the nose cone closing, and you get to see the Skywalker mobility aid all in one.
We can see that nose cone coming down to its final position ever so slowly and ever so sadly.
Slow and steady.
And
And again, we close the nose cone in preparation for re-entry of the vehicle. This helps keep the nose cone safe, intact with the vehicle. Again, we are going to close this and lock this, and this protects the top part of the vehicle as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. Now, we don't necessarily need it for Dragon, but we do want to protect that Skywalker during re-entry, which we don't typically have or haven't had before on Dragon missions. So this nose cone will actually keep that Skywalker mobility aid pretty safe as well.
Indeed. Now, while all this has been going on, the vehicle has initiated the nitrox suit purge. This helps to keep our crew members cool and comfortable during re-entry, which once again, we expect that to occur here in a few minutes, in about a half hour, or a little bit less than a half hour. The exterior of the vehicle will reach temperatures of about 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit, and the crew members remain comfortable, really, even though the outside is quite extreme, thanks to the environmental systems inside the Dragon capsule and the thermal protection system on the exterior of the capsule.
Yeah, it's pretty important to keep them cool on the inside. Again, we don't have the trunk of Dragon anymore, so it is on internal power, but it's enough power to keep everything cool inside the cabin, because as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere, it can get up to about 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty hot. Yeah. We've heard some of the crew members that have flown on Dragon that sometimes they can even see some of the sparks through the window.
The plasma.
So, yeah.
So all along for basically the last day, the Dragon capsule has been decreasing its altitude, beginning with the first two phasing burns that occurred on Friday. 100 kilometers in altitude will begin interface, and at that point, that's when the crew begin to feel the effects of the Earth's atmosphere.
I just love these stickers here. It's so great. And again, the crew is just monitoring. They also have their tablets. They have the displays. They can follow along with all the procedures that are happening every single step of the way. With everything that's happening with the burns, with the nose cone closing inside of Dragon, they'll be able to hear some different sounds. So being able to follow along with the procedures is really important so that they can connect the dots with the sound to the action that is happening outside of the capsule.
At this point in time, we're just standing by to hear confirmation of the nose cone's closure. Once we get that information, that basically completes the first half of our deorbit process. Once again, these views live from inside Dragon Resilience, looking over the shoulders of our commander and pilot, Jared Isaacman and Kid Poteet.
And currently they are traveling 17,500 miles per hour while they are still in orbit, but they will go down to about 350 miles per hour once the drogues deploy. And then the main chutes are actually going to slow the vehicle down so much that by the time that they splash down back on Earth, it's only about 15 miles per hour that they'll be going. So those drogue chutes and main chutes are pretty important and do a very good job of slowing the vehicle down.
Yeah, we actually now build our drogue parachutes in-house. Shout out to the Bloomfield team up in Connecticut. These drogue parachutes do quite a bit of work, and actually, if we didn't have drogue parachutes, we would have to have more main parachutes, and they would have to be twice as big in order to effectively slow the capsule down. Basically, the drogue parachutes deploy around 18,000 feet when the vehicle is going about 350 miles per hour, and the vehicle, thanks to the drogues and the heat shield, and really just the continued friction of the Earth's atmosphere, helps slow it down to 119 miles per hour when the mains deploy at about 6,500 feet. So they're really important pieces of the Dragon capsule. And it's always so fun to watch them deploy. I can only imagine what it would feel like to be in the capsule as you're starting to feel Earth again, and then these things pop out and really slow you down. I'm sure it's a welcome feeling, but also kind of a sad one because it means they're really at the very end of their space flight.
Yeah. I'm sure it's probably somewhat similar to skydiving, but except they're coming from microgravity into gravity.
SpaceX, nose cone secure for entry.
Copy that, SpaceX.
Now, the Polaris Dawn crew, we are coming up to our anticipated loss of signal. This is the point in time in which the amount of plasma building up on the exterior of the vehicle becomes significant and that we are unable to command the vehicle or receive telemetry or communicate with the crew. So this happens every time a Dragon capsule comes back through the Earth's atmosphere, and we're anticipating about a 7-minute loss of signal for today's re-entry. But it's a period in which a couple minutes before it ends, we'll hear the core call out, the core being the crew operations and resources engineer. And that person is the voice to the crew, and they're sitting right there in that room on your screen. That is Mission Control here at SpaceX in Hawthorne, California. And a couple minutes before the blackout period ends, we'll start to hear the core hail the Dragon capsule because sometimes they get through it quicker and we're able to communicate earlier than anticipated. So yeah, it's an expected period where basically no vehicle telemetry is received by Mission Control or the recovery team, and we're unable to command the vehicle. So as a reminder, though, the Dragon capsule is programmed to and designed to fly itself. So as we heard from the Inspiration 4 crew earlier, it is a period of great anticipation, but coming out on the other side is a moment of a lot of joy.
Yeah, it's super exciting. We are expected to be in the blackout period at this moment. We did hear the core call that out about 5 minutes ago. So we should be in that blackout period. Again, it should last about 6-7 minutes. And what's expected to come next is going to be, once we get through that blackout period, we will confirm we have comms with the crew once again, and then we will be expecting the drogue parachutes to deploy. Again, that helps slow the vehicle down. They've been flying very fast in space at 17,500 miles per hour. Those drogues are going to slow down the vehicle to about 350 miles per hour, and then the 4 main parachutes will deploy and slow the vehicle down as it's making its way back down to Earth, and should touch down at around 15, 16 miles per hour. So these chutes are very, very important to help keep the vehicle slowly moving towards the Earth, scrubbing that velocity as they've been moving very quickly. But they should have a very light touchdown back on Earth in the ocean.
You can hear a little bit of a crowd here forming outside of Mission Control. You can see there on your screen as some of our fellow employees are gathering in anticipation of the splashdown. It's always one of the best, not one of the best place to stand for these types of events, although it is pretty late on a Saturday night, so perhaps not the normal size crowd.
This is a pretty good event for a Saturday night, I think. This is where I'd want to be.
So once again, we are in the blackout period. Anticipated loss of communications. We do anticipate to regain those communications around 12:30 a.m. Pacific time or 3:30 a.m. Eastern time. Just after that, as Jesse was saying, we'll see the drogue parachutes deploy about 2 minutes after, and then about 2 minutes after coming back from the blackout period, we'll see those drogues deploy, and then just a minute later, we'll see the main parachutes deploy. So, as we said earlier, this is a series of events that when you start, it seems like, oh man, it's going to take a while, but they do happen in rapid succession. And I just noticed there's a turtle inflatable down in front of Mission Control in celebration of our new landing location at Dry Tortugas.
Yeah, I love that. Celebrating our new splashdown zone, welcoming the Polaris Dawn crew home. And we are a little over halfway through that blackout period. We are expecting to hopefully gain comms back in about a couple minutes from now again. And this, you can see on your screen, is the first ground view of the Dragon capsule making its way back, entering the Earth's atmosphere.
I love this view. It's so fun to watch this. I can only imagine what it would be like to watch it with our own eyes. This thermal view in particular is really cool because you can see the trail behind it.
Oh, now, that is so awesome. There's 4 humans inside of that capsule right now.
Now, once again, we are in the anticipated communications blackout period. Basically, there is an envelope of ionized air around the spacecraft, and it blocks radio signals from reaching Dragon. So this basically plasma field around it prohibits us from commanding the vehicle or from communicating with the crew. So this anticipated blackout period lasts about 7 minutes, so we should be coming out of it here in about the next minute or so. We will probably start to hear the SpaceX core begin to reach out to the Dragon capsule, just trying to hail them, or we might even hear from the Polaris Dawn crew first. Oh, that's an incredible view from the recovery ship stationed out in the water.
That is a sight to see for the people that are watching this live. It's not a comet. It is just the Polaris Dawn crew coming back to Earth. Wow, that is an amazing view.
Once again, we expect this blackout period to end in about a minute. Another view of the
Dragon SpaceX comm check.
I can have you loud and clear. Help me, SpaceX.
Loud and clear, Jared. Expect automated chute deployment.
Incredible views, incredible comms. We have regained communications with the Polaris Dawn crew. This is a drone circling the recovery vessel. And that little white dot, I should start, the big white dot on the right, obviously the moon, the little white dot there in the center of your screen is the Dragon Resilience vehicle making its way, its final few kilometers back down to planet Earth after spending 5 days in orbit.
Wow, just some epic views tonight. You can hear the crowd here in Hawthorne getting excited. We've confirmed that we have comms with the crew.
Dragon SpaceX, GPS converged. Expect nominal altitude for drogue chute deploy.
Copy that, SpaceX. We show the same and tracking.
And the crew is still traveling very quickly right now as they're coming back through the Earth's atmosphere. But as you heard, the drogue chutes should be deploying here shortly, and that's going to slow them down significantly.
Yeah, we expect those to deploy in about 90 seconds. And as we heard in those comms, it's triggered by GPS. So the Dragon capsule, using that GPS, will automatically know exactly when to deploy it, and that happens around 40 kilometers. Once the drogue parachutes deploy, about a minute after that, we'll see the main parachutes.
And it's pretty incredible that we only...
We can see seat rotation now underway. This helps put the crew in a more ergonomic position in anticipation of splashdown.
Brace for drogue window.
Copy, we're bracing.
Should see those chutes deploy here shortly. And you can see the crew bracing.
As instructed.
For the change in velocity.
Standing by for deployment of the drogue parachutes. These will help bring the vehicle down from about 350 miles per hour when they deploy down to about 119 miles per hour when the main parachutes deploy. There we can see that the drogue chutes have successfully deployed. It's a great thermal image. And that view is from the actual basin where those drogue parachutes are located.
Dragon SpaceX visual on 2 healthy drogues.
Copy that, SpaceX. We show the same.
These drogue parachutes help to stabilize the Dragon capsule and get it into the right orientation before those main parachutes pop out, as well as providing that initial deceleration.
This is such a great thermal shot of the Dragon capsule. You can see it turning a little bit with the drogue parachutes. And there are the 4 main chutes now deployed. They'll slowly open up to their full deployment here in just a few seconds.
Incredible views of the Polaris Dawn crew returning to Earth after 5 days in Earth's orbit. The crowd here at Mission Control in Hawthorne cheering.
Dragon SpaceX visual on 4 mains and descent rate nominal.
It's a beautiful sight to see.
Copy that, SpaceX. We show the same. 1,000.
Copy 1,000.
Beautiful sight to see those 4 healthy main parachutes.
So great.
Now, in about 2 minutes, we expect our splashdown to occur.
And you may hear the crew and the Corps talking. They're communicating about their altitude as they make their way back down to Earth.
We should start.
800.
Yeah, there it is. So we should start to hear and
Copy 8.
are hearing our commander, Jared Isaacman, call out the altitude as they descend to the ocean's surface. We can see the Polaris Dawn crew nestled in their seats there on the left-hand side of your screen as they anticipate their
600.
splashdown.
Copy 6.
And you can see the difference in velocity. This is a lot gentler than just a few minutes ago. Dragon is coming back down to Earth.
Absolutely. These main parachutes deploy at about 119 miles per hour and help slow the Dragon capsule down to about 15 miles per hour when it makes contact with the ocean.
You can also see that the capsule is now
400.
the capsule is now stabilized. It's no longer spinning like we saw it with the drogue parachutes.
$200. We're bracing.
Copy 200 embraced.
Bracing for splashdown.
That will be the final call we hear from Jared until contact with the ocean surface. Standing by for a splashdown of the Polaris Dawn crew. And there you can see.
SpaceX copies, we see splash.
As you can see on your screen, and by the cheers behind us, the Polaris Dawn crew has successfully splashed down.
Welcome back to planet Earth, Polaris Dawn.
SpaceX recovery team now moving into place to begin the process of strapping the Dragon capsule up with the necessary rigging in order to lift it onto the recovery vessel.
Dragon SpaceX, brace for capsule lift.
There they
Copy
go.
that, SpaceX. We're bracing.
It's probably warm water, Kate.
Yeah, you know what? Sea creatures love warm water too, in my head.
They're not going to hurt you.
We can see the Dragon capsule now coming out of the water. Our first view of that well-loved heat shield at the bottom of the Dragon resilience vehicle. Dragon now completely out of the water and will be lowered onto that cradle there. Once the Dragon capsule is lowered, we will see the recovery team, who are obviously out of the way for safety reasons at this point in time. But once the capsule is translated and secured, we'll see them begin to hose it down with fresh water. As we reuse these capsules, we want to try and minimize the effects of corrosion, which of course happen due to salt water. So we will actually begin to see not only that basin where the main parachutes were located, that will get rinsed out, as well as the overall capsule.
And the crew is now on the recovery vessel, probably their first moment of a little bit more stability being back on Earth. Again, what will happen next is once the Dragon capsule is fully seated in the nest, and we'll remove all the rigging from the capsule, that will then translate that capsule and move it forward to a platform.
Dragon SpaceX, welcome aboard the recovery vessel. Recovery personnel are completing final checks. Stand by for translation to the egress platform.
Copy that, SpaceX. Standing by.
All right, great news there. And it looks like actually the estimation for lift was we completed it 2 minutes early. So like I said, it's a pretty efficient operation. The recovery team, not only have they performed this on numerous actual human space flight missions, but also in rehearsals and training procedures of their own. Pretty cool to be able to see the same displays that the crew utilizes while they were in flight. Once again, Dragon resilience has been successful. Well, first of all, it made an on-time splashdown in the, I guess this would be, considered in the Florida Keys down near at Dry Tortugas. And they had a pretty quick recovery out of the water. They are now on the recovery vessel and standing by for the final preparations performed by the recovery team prior to basically opening that side hatch. Once again, this will be the first time that the Polaris Dawn crew will have fresh air. It'll be fresh, salty, fishy air, but fresh air nonetheless. And there we can see the Dragon capsule now being moved toward the central part of the ship. You can see there. There are some SpaceX crew members also wearing respirators, once again, as we will perform the final hypergolic safety sniffing tests. As I mentioned earlier, beginning to spray the Dragon capsule down with fresh water to try and rinse that salt water off of the metallic components. All right, good news there.
Copy that, SpaceX. We're standing by.
Looks like those safety checks were quick and successful as everyone has doffed their respirators.
And there you can see officially the hatch is open.
Mission Specialist Anna Menon.
There she is.
Fellow
Some big
SpaceXer.
waves. Yes.
So happy. I love this. So excited.
Welcome back to Earth, Anna.
SpaceX team assisting her to make sure that she doesn't hit the side hatch in any way.
So much excitement. Our second SpaceXer to fly in space. Mission Specialist Sarah Gillis back on Earth.
So cool to see her. Now egressing is our pilot, Kid Poteet. I would bet good money that we're going to see some thumbs up once Kid exits. It's pretty cool to see that they are coming out, standing up on their own 2 feet and walking off.
SpaceX, Dragon, this is the final call. Sign off.
Some dance moves.
That's pretty great. I think that move should be added to the required choreography for human spaceflight missions. You know, we have the astronaut lean back when they approach their rocket on launch day. The kid shuffle, I think, should be the next one for post egress. We heard Jared get one last call out on the loops before egressing himself.
And the final Polaris Dawn crew member egressing Dragon Resilience, Commander Jared Isaacman. Our second frequent flyer in Dragon, completing his second mission in space.
For a second, I thought for a second I thought he was saying goodbye to his spacecraft, but it turns out he was saying goodbye to the people still in there assisting him with his egress. So incredible to see. What a day! What a week!
What a week!